say, how does this show up in my life? Why do I value this, first of all? So for me, I have gratitude, spirituality, joy, and adaptability. Those are my top four kind of right now. And they change seasonally, they'll kind of go with the seasons. And I can tell if I'm feeling off, I'm like, okay, where am I lacking one of these things? And that's what you mean by that alignment. All I have to do is just kind of get realigned. Okay, I haven't experienced joy in X amount of time. What can I do today to experience joy? Right? Maybe it's going to the spa, maybe it's going for a walk, going into nature, whatever it is. And or adaptability, it's like if I'm faced with the decision and I don't know what to do, okay, how can I honor my adaptability here? If adaptability was running the show here, because it's a deep part of who I am on the inside, what would adaptability lead me to do? And it just gives you clarity so you can take a step forward. And when you are aligned in that alone just brings you so much peace on the inside.
Yeah, no, it really does. It really does. I guess for me, like my core values are things like treating other people the way that I expect to be treated. I think kindness is a massive one. I always try to make a conscious choice to be kind and also compassionate, even to those that don't seem compassionate to me. And that's hard but I can do it because I am aware that the behavior is coming from somewhere. It's coming from some wounds, probably core wounds, probably from when they were a child or their past or trauma, right? And so because I've done that inner work again, here we go again, full circle, I am aware that that's where it's coming from. And so, having compassion for everyone and also understanding that because we are all literally recycled, we are all connected, that, when you have compassion for someone else, you're also having compassion for yourself. And so the kindness as well, being kind to others is like being kind to yourself, so those are some of my cool ones. Joy is one of mine. Like that's really important. So I've done something slightly going off tangent, but I'm really happy about it. For my joy at the moment, purely joy. I realized, like you, Meg, I was like, I'm not doing anything for me right now. Your doggy.
This is a big sense of joy.
See, he came in. I love dogs. Dogs are my joy. Like seriously, I absolutely love them.
If you're watching this video right now, my dog is he's wanting to just be a part of it. Thank you. You're a great
dogs
coach.
bring me so much joy. So I just finished pet sitting a golden lab, and that was amazing. That's a joy for me. Animals, love them, dogs especially. Anyway, so what I decided to do is like, what can I do just purely for me? And so I decided to start singing again. So I'm starting this little duet with this guitarist, and we've been rehearsing. And we're just gonna, no pressure, no huge goals, just purely the joy of singing. He loves to play. And unfortunately, he can't sing with his wife anymore because she had an accident and now she can't sing, which is really sad. And he misses it. So it's bringing him joy. It's bringing me joy. And I just love it, just purely because it makes me happy. Isn't that
living? I love that.
You don't need a permission to rest, and you also don't need a reason for doing things. You don't need permission for joy. And as somebody who is, I love to check things off a list, and I have a big to-do list every day, and I love doing things with intention and purpose. And like, okay, this was, I finished this. I mean, this is dating me. Like, this is years ago. Like, I ran a marathon, check, right? I did a 45-minute workout class, check. But it's like, no, you can do things just for fun. Sometimes joy is the point. It is the intention.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the beautiful things in life. And, joy is also a privilege for some. You think about what's going on in the world right now. You're very privileged if you can have the space for that amount of joy right now. And that's the gratitude right there again coming in. It's really to be appreciated. And you get to be joyful, you get to have this, you get to create this. And I think that's something that's really important to remember as well. Because ultimately, we want to look back, when you reach the end of your life and you look back on what you've done, what are the memories that you're going to value the most? Because that's all you're left with. Your body may not be working. You're going to be a lot slower and doddery, and hopefully your mind will be working. But, you'll look back and you'll think, oh, wow, I did that. Look at that. That was fun. And you're going to be filled with all these beautiful memories. And so for me, that's also a massive value. Very, very important.
Yes. It's like, what's the point of life if you're not experiencing joy and experiencing fun? Why are you working so hard? Right? Why are you losing sleep over thinking about working so hard tomorrow and how you didn't work so hard today or whatever it is? And why are, all these areas, you can start to see how they're really starting to come together, for us to experience joy. We're meant to experience joy. And a lot of times it doesn't feel like that, right? When we're overwhelmed or we're not in a profession where we want to be, or we're not in a relationship that is fulfilling to us, So I love that. Just joy. So how can you prioritize joy? I mean, it can be a whole day at the spa, or it could be just 10 seconds of something at home that's absolutely free. Joy is free. So.
And also, like, if you can find someone who makes you laugh until you cry and your belly hurt, then for me, there's no better joy than that. I think that's like really precious. And it's just those simple things in life that are so beautiful and so joyful. And that actually, Meg, brings me to another of the pillars, which I call joy.
Perfect.
It's just flowing. It's flowing.
It is. We can literally see.
Literally, we didn't plan this at all. Joyful movement. Moving your body, because of course, movement energizes you, it detoxifies, it strengthens, it enhances your mental clarity, it gets the blood pumping around your body. It's really important for your health and well-being, because obviously if the blood goes to everywhere, then your cells are going to be nourished, okay, and that's going to make you feel more energized, right? So and healthier. So movement's really important. And for some, this might just be as simple as walking. It might just be walking in nature. Even better, nature is known to heal. Look up Zach Bush and see what he does about nature. Fantastic. I can't explain it as good as he does, but nature is very healing. Yoga, connecting you with your body as well. Dancing. Oh my God, dancing's amazing. That's also one of my joy. I used to train to be a professional dancer very long time ago. Didn't really go very far with it, but I was going to go down that route, changed my mind. But nothing makes me feel better than dancing. And that's a form of expression and release as well, which is also very good when you have heaviness come up. Moving your body moves energy through you and out. It's really important for that as well. And then the other one is like the gym, weight training. Strength training in particular has been linked to longevity, especially like grip strength. I don't know the whole science behind that, but weight training is incredibly good for you. I know you know about that, Meg, as well. And then just like general like flexibility as well, stretching every day. It can just be as simple as stretching. It depends on, again, your body, your level, and actually what you need. And overdoing it, like we spoke about earlier, will have the opposite effect on you. It will wear you out. So it's like finding your level and finding your movement that also creates that joyfulness.
Yes. I love how that just flowed. And I'm really glad you brought up our first initial question. And I'm so glad we talked about that at first, because I feel like this is where we can lose some people. And I said, you know what, let's address this in the beginning versus the end, because we have to know it is baby steps, because I know everybody knows, and I'm not going to get into the benefits of lifting weights and cardio and flexibility and all those things that really serve us as we age and our bodies change.
Yeah.
We all know we should, going back to that word, workout. But here's the funny thing about the connection between should and this radical, extreme accountability is the two are totally, I mean, there's no connection between the two. The word should has no accountability to it, right? Oh, I should go to the gym. Anytime anyone tells me that, I'm like, okay, well, you're not telling me anything about okay, great. You're just telling me something that you know, right? The sky's blue, or there's a cloud over there. The cloud's white. The tree is green. I should go to the gym. Great. That is just a statement. That's it. And then you can actually find the undertones of guilt and shame and whatever else underneath. But which is why, going back to that second foundation of connecting with yourself and figuring out why you think what you think in there is really important. So let's just go right into the resistance on this one, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I love that it followed joy, because a lot of people don't know where to start. And we're going to tap into this basic simplicity movement piece, where this does not mean you have to, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym 5 times a week. After listening to this podcast, I'm going to the gym 5 times a week. And no, I don't know how to lift, and I'm going to get there and it's going to be uncomfortable and I'm going to not like it and I'm going to feel weird, so that I'm going to go home and I'm never going to go again. Right. Yeah. So that's why the connecting to yourself and figuring out what actually brings you joy. Because there's something for everybody, right? There is, and do something that brings you joy. And let's talk about this resistance of people thinking, I'm curious what you would have to say to this. People thinking that they have to look good.
I would say, well, let's explore where that's coming from. Because that is
a second. Yeah,
absolutely. That's mindset, isn't it? And that's your beliefs, because it's like, funny, actually, I spoke to my client about this earlier. She has this belief that she has to look a certain way because she has this fear of judgment and actually rejection. So for her, it's like a protection mechanism. And there could be a number of different reasons why, but I would always then explore, when did you first feel that way? And this is something, perhaps if you wanted to write it down for those people listening, journal on, when was the first time that I felt that way, that I needed to look a certain way, and try to explore, where that's coming from, because there is a reason for that. And usually it comes down to like some core wounding beliefs, like I'm not good enough, for example, or I'm unlovable is another one. And if you really trace it back, then 9 times out of 10, it comes from an experience in our childhood or when we were growing up. Not always, but sometimes. Or it can be like a trauma. And when I say trauma, I don't mean like a car accident or something crazy. It could be like a mini trauma. It could just be like a rejection from your mother when you were younger. That's one of mine. Very transparent about these things. So yeah, where's that coming from, basically? If you can find the root of that, then you can isolate the story, and then you can understand why you have that desire to do that and to be that way. And a lot of it can also come down to this tribal mechanism where, we just want to look a certain way to be accepted and to fit in, because if we don't look a certain way, we're going to be rejected, because our culture has taught us, you have to be slim, you have to look like this, that's the healthiest way to be. And that's portrayed, in the media, on the news, on TV, on movies and things like that. And it's actually not necessarily natural or healthy. It says nothing about, the level of your actual health and how healthy your body is. And actually probably a lot of those people are malnourished. Sorry. I'm thinking of, you probably don't know the band Steps, like this very old band, but there's a member of that band, and she was basically, anorexic. She starved herself, or was it bulimic? I can't remember. And now she's like a size, 14, and she's much, much happier. And she always had like this stunning figure, but she was miserable, inside,
Right,
know?
right.
So
One
yeah.
of her other foundational principles was not, it was out of balance, right? Her mindset and her connection with herself. And I think it's, yeah, there's so much to unpack there. Man, we're gonna have to come back for a second podcast just for this. Or, I'm sure you talk a lot about this in your membership. It's not the action, right? And this is going back to that alignment, because your actions have to align with your words and your thoughts. And so if I'm figuring out if my actions aren't working, like I can't bring myself to go to the gym. I just can't bring myself to go to the gym. Why? Well, what are your words telling you about maybe what your thoughts are in there, right? Your words are a really great indicator as to what's going on in here. So just paying attention to what you say. And a lot of times it is an insecurity around the way we look. And especially if you live on social media, you think everybody looks a certain way. It's so interesting. The challenge is just compare your social media, who you see on there, to going grocery shopping and seeing who you see in the grocery store. It is wildly different, because your algorithm feeds you a certain look based on what they think you're going to buy, essentially. And social media is a great, it's commercials. It's, this is what you need to feel better about yourself. You're not good enough, so you need this to be and feel good enough about yourself. And buy all this, it's very consumerism based, telling you that you're lacking something and you need to buy something in order to feel good about yourself. When we have these tools like nature, journaling, stillness, connection with the people who are around you, and joyful movements. And I think a lot of people get deterred with I'm going to look silly, or everyone else is going to be looking fit, and they're going to tell that I don't belong here, right? Going back to your tribal mentality of I feel like I don't belong here. So it's make it easy on yourself. What does that mean? Does that mean going with a friend? Does that mean hiring a trainer? Does that mean going in a group fitness class and sitting in the back in the dark? It doesn't matter. And just doing something. Again, you have to take that radical extreme accountability, because nothing is going to change if nothing changes. So figuring out what that resistance is,
Yeah.
is just, for me, it's not necessarily an insecurity thing, but I grew up playing sports and getting praised when you were really good at winning, right? And when you lost, it was kind of like the quiet, awkward ride home, And so I equate movement with something with an end, and I have to be the best, right? I have to win. And so doing something like, when you were talking about professional dance earlier, not one person would ever think that I was ever on the track to become a professional dancer, ever, never. And I never did that. I never did yoga because I was bad at it. And it's like, well, I'm not going to get that praise. So again, it's unpacking all these things through the other foundations and realizing, no, I like to dance. I like moving around and being all silly. It's joyful for me. It's joyful with no purpose, right?
Yeah.
And same thing with yoga. It's like, I am not the best person in the yoga room. And it's always so easy for me to be like, oh, it's just yoga. I don't really need it. But really it's, well, I'm not going to be the best. And there's not going to be a prize for me at the end. I'm going to have the awkward car ride home with my parents who are not here. Right. It's just, it's funny. And so when you unpack that mindset and you get that alignment, right, it's like you can actually make those moves to make change,
Right. Yeah. And what I'm hearing there is like, it's a lot of external validation, right? You're seeking the validation from outside of yourself and not giving it to yourself. And it's not coming from you. And, unfortunately, when you do that, if you're constantly trying to, if you want praise from other people and you're seeking that and like fishing for it, it's unpredictable. You can never guarantee that you're going to get it. And so if you're building yourself up, inside mentally, even subconsciously, if you don't realize you're doing it, to get that praise externally and that validation, then you're always going to be disappointed. So it's about taking your power back, because essentially you're giving your power away. But if you can take that back, and if you can give yourself the validation and create it from within you, then it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Who cares? And, you know, I always used to do this. I always used to think, oh, I was massive people pleaser, because if I was a good girl, I'd get more attention, right? So this is my learned behavior. And then I worked on this, and now I've reached a place where I genuinely don't really give a crap anymore, which is great, because that was also a barrier to my confidence and my own like personal liberation and freedom. Because I was like, oh my God, if I say the wrong thing, if I do the wrong thing, this was also to do with my chronic anxiety, I'm going to be judged. And so I've worked through that now and managed to let that go. And I give that validation to myself. And it's like, you know, you're just freeing up so much space and so much thought as well. It's about giving it to yourself. It's so important to cultivate. And this is the self-love that comes in. You know, this is, again, going back to understanding yourself more deeply. Because, you know, most of this really is a lot of mindset work. You know, it all comes back to that. Even with the functional health coaching, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's just a belief. It's all coming from a belief from way back when. But this validation piece is really, really important, because that is key. That is key. And, you know, it also stops you needing, not wanting, things, material things, you know, and assigning value to those things, because actually they don't matter. Because really what matters inside is how you feel, because it's that feeling that you have to live with 24/7. And this is why, you know, it's important to create that well-being inside of you, so that you have, it's almost like having this layer of resilience that you didn't have before. It's kind of like an armor, but not one like going into battle. It's just things bounce off you, if that makes sense, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, you know, something as well that I feel if more people created that, they wouldn't be so triggered as well. I'm just thinking about some of the people I work with, and the reactive behavior is, you know, crazy. But if you have that inside, you know, you're, can I swear on here?
Of course.
You're unfuckable with.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Yes. You want to create the resilience mindset, so you are unfuckable with. So nothing can touch you. Everything bounces off you. And, you know, you don't assign value and meaning to things that you don't want to.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that can even be things within yourself, you know, with going to the gym or going to a workout class or going on a walk, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can find all these excuses, whether it's like, oh, I'm going to be the worst one there, I'm going to be the most out of shape person, or it's hot, right? I can't go outside right now, or it's raining, or whatever. And it's like you said this, is like, who cares? And the answer is truly nobody. Like, nobody cares. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we all think that we have this like main character mentality, which is great if you can harness it in the powerful personal power way. But we walk in and we think we're the main character in everybody else's story. You are the only main character in your own story. Nobody else cares. So
100%.
like, truly, you might get a look in, or you might think you get a look, right? This goes back to, did they give me a look, or do I think they're giving me a look? Those are two different very things. You know, am I going to focus on the look that they gave me, or am I going to focus on, why do I think that they are looking at me, and why does that bother me? Right? Because that goes into the personal power, accountability. That is where your power lies: outside, external, or internal. And nobody cares. Everybody is the main character in their own story. So while I might look at you and be like, you know, I give you a look or whatever, you think somebody gives you a look, I don't want to be the bad guy in this story, but somebody gives you the look and then they move on, and then they never think about you again, or you're never going to see that person again. So why do you care if the stranger who you might never see again, why do you care enough to think that they gave you a look? You know, it's, again, your mind trying to play these tricks on you to get you out of there, right? Back to the couch, back to social media, back to the TV, because your mind, your ego, It's great for protection. It wants you to stay the same. It wants your life to be as predictable as possible. So if you are out of shape, or if you are a certain weight, or if you aren't flexible, right? That's me. It wants you to stay the same, because it's like, wait, what if you do get your heart healthy? What if you do become flexible? What if you can run a marathon? What's going to happen? You're going to hurt yourself. We can only protect you with the things that we know right now. So that's why it tries to get you back into that nothing changing, and you have to decide, when I walk into the gym, or I walk into a dance class, or if I walk into a yoga class and can't even touch my toes, I have to decide, ooh, I think that person gave me a look. Am I going to allow that to stop me?
Yeah.
100%.
And also, like, that's the thing. We always think that people care so much. But actually, we're only thinking about, ourselves all the time. That's generally that person hasn't even probably registered you, and I was going to say something about like people pleasing there, and I can't remember what I was going to say, but yeah, this is a classic people pleaser thing, oh, I have to behave a certain way. That's what I was going to say. It doesn't matter what character you show up as. People are going to receive you based on their own lens, through their own perception, because of their own experiences in life and conditioning. So it actually doesn't matter if you're the nicest person in the world. And I've had this before, you are still going to offend somebody and trigger them in some way. Not everyone's going to like you, because they're basing it off of what they already know and they've experienced. So you might as well just do your own thing, be the weirdo if you want to be, whatever you want to identify as, it's completely your choice, because nobody really gives a crap.
Really.
And it's so nice when you can like actually integrate that and just let go, And sometimes I like to challenge like my clients with, okay, if we're building confidence, for example, and maybe they're people pleasers, I might say to them, okay, so I want you to walk into a shop wearing these funny headpiece or something, with like goggly bits on, whatever, maybe a unicorn hat or something really random. And I just want you to go into the shop, and you're going to feel very uncomfortable walking around, and people are going to look at you, but that's your task, because you actually realize that no one really cares anyway. And like you say, they give you that look, but then, well, what's the consequence of that? Oh, that's it. Never going to see that person again. Okay, great.
Yeah. It's exposure therapy, like,
yeah.
I love that. I think we have very similar coaching styles, and I love that. And you start to see too, people's reactions don't have anything to do with you. It has everything to do with them. They're like, oh my gosh, they're wearing that crazy unicorn hat. I would never do that. Well, yeah, they maybe never would do that. And that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them. They are having a reaction because, again, just like everything is a mirror or a trigger for you, you are now the external mirror or trigger for everybody else around you. So you are showing them where something about themselves, and that has nothing to do with you. Like, I'm not worrying about that. I'm just going to worry about me. And just because that person, got made fun of in, 4th grade for wearing a funny hat, and they've never worn funny hats, what does that mean? You can't do it. It has nothing to do with you. And I love that when you see that nobody really cares,
Yeah, it's really powerful, isn't it? And I always say, if you're going to be anything, why not be a unicorn?
Yes. Wear the unicorn headband. Just do it.
I might go and buy one now, actually. Yeah.
I know. We'll link it. We'll link the Amazon preferred unicorn headband in the notes. So no, I love this. So let's move on with our next pillar, because it's so funny how you can just see how these all connect. And also, this might be the longest podcast episode that I've ever had on this show. And it's so juicy and it's so good. And I'm like, no, keep going, because this is this is gold. It is gold when you can, these things will change your life. Right. And I don't want to cut this off. So share the next one with us.
Sure, the symbiosis. Absolutely. I could go so deep on that. Right. The other one. Okay, let's talk about, so we've got nourishment and hydration. Okay. So obviously, well done. Lovely. I've got my water here too. So hydration, massively important, massively. Now I was going to say should then, it benefits you to be drinking over 2 liters a day, 2 liters of water, and no more than 400 milligrams of caffeine. So that could be, 2 cups of coffee. I think it's like 3 cups of tea. You want to keep yourself hydrated. Just showing everything.
It's just my first one, I promise.
Sorry, we're on a different time zone. If I had one now, it'd be very naughty. Yeah, like 10:05 p.m. Yeah, so basically hydration is really important because obviously it flushes out all the toxins, it helps the blood flow, it helps with repair. Oh my God, there's an endless list to hydration, but it's one of the number one things you can do for your body, one of the top things I should say you can do for your body. Now, the nutrition, and another thing to say on that, if you can drink filtered water, even better, because they put a lot of, I know it's actually worse in America because there's been a lot of testing, like there's a lot of fluoride in the water pipes and things like that. And even in the UK, it's not particularly great. I don't think it's as bad though. But you really want to be filtering your water. And if possible, you want to filter out any potential heavy metals that can be in there, because they can actually cause a lot of imbalances within the body and a lot of inflammation, and inflammation leads to disease. Now, there's so much to say on nutrition. I don't even know where to begin, but basically, nutrition, you have to think that every time you eat, you're having it's causing a hormonal reaction inside your body. Now, what are we basically, how do we, live? How do our bodies work? They're full of hormones, okay? And it's about creating hormonal balance, right? How do you do that? Through nutrition. You make sure that you're eating what we call in functional health PFC, which is protein, fats, and carbs, and you're stabilizing your blood sugars. Because if you don't stabilize your blood sugars, essentially what it does is it spikes your cortisol. You're getting too much cortisol production. That then diminishes the production of other hormones, like the calming hormone progesterone in women, for example. And actually it throws everything out of regulation. So every time you eat a meal, if you eat balanced, you're already making such a massive, massive difference. And if people want more detail on that, I can give them more detail. I can send you, I could maybe even give it to you as well, Meg, and send you a PDF of literally how to eat balance, because it really is a game changer. You're bringing, if you think about it, what is the body always trying to do? It's trying to create homeostasis. It's trying to balance everything out. Again, balance. You've got the yin, the yang, the dark, the light. The universe is built on polarity. And so are you. You are a biological miracle, literally. I mean, if you think about the complexities of the body and how it all works, it's insane. But what does it start with? The fuel that you put in it. So this is the piece that is very complex, and why I'm doing the functional health practitioner course on it, because it's massive. Look at our culture now in the Western world. There's so much processed food. There's so many things in boxes that are packaged. There's so much carbohydrates, high sugar. We don't eat balance. We overeat on carbs, which basically turn to sugar in your body. If you're eating sugar or carbs, it's the same thing. That includes fruit, that includes vegetables, believe it or not. It's all going to throw you into dysregulation if you're eating out of balance. It has a massive impact on you. And what you're really trying to do is reduce inflammation within the body, because that is the thing. Inflammation leads to disease, and disease, dis-ease within the body, dysregulation, that's what causes chronic health conditions. That's how, if you, put on a lot of weight through overeating carbohydrates and sugar and things like that, and pizzas or whatever, that can lead to type 2 diabetes. And that's fully reversible through diet, nutrition, and lifestyle. And I'd also like to emphasize the point that this is not a diet, it's a lifestyle choice. It's a way of eating that brings you into balance. And it's actually very simple as well. It's always about making whole food choices. So the least processed and changed that food is, like, for example, a sweet potato. If you boil it, you've still processed it a little bit, but it still looks like a potato, right? But if you smush it into, something else and mix it with additives and emulsifiers and soy lecithins and all that crap, then, it's obviously going to change its chemical composition. It's going to change the bioavailability within your body. So actually eating whole foods, they're more bioavailable, meaning that the body gains more nutrient density from the food you eat. So you can see now maybe that the way we're eating, which is very unconsciously, has a massive impact on our body. And as I mentioned earlier, the gut microbiome, there's a huge thing about the gut microbiome at the moment. It's a very popular topic, but it is linked to your brain. And if you're imbalanced in the gut, 70% of your serotonin is produced in your gut. And that's what I said earlier. So if you think about it, if your gut is unhappy and your digestive system and your small intestine, and you're getting bacterial overgrowth and things like that, your body's massively dysregulated. It's massively inflamed. And this can also come from like food intolerance. I mean, look, I could go on and on and on. So I'm going to stop talking now because I know so much now. But you get the point that everything you eat is fuel for your body. So you're either adding to your health or you're taking it away. And so it impacts your mental health as well. Everything's connected. So that's really the biggest point to make. It's fundamental to your well-being.
Wow. I think that is exactly what we all needed to hear. Truly.
It was a lot. Sorry.
No, it's so good. And I encourage people to, even just go back a minute or two and just listen to that, because it's so true. And this is where I think everybody knows you have to eat good. You have to eat whole foods. You have to do this. Drink water. Even going back to that, it's so important. And this is where I want to touch on the resistance that comes up, right? Because everybody knows it, but very few people do it. And I think even phrasing it as simple as, this is either adding to your life or taking away from it. And if you were to think about that in an actual time scale, right? Because not even just days, saying, oh, if you eat a bag of Cheetos, a week goes off of your life. It's, I don't know if it's just, that tit for tat kind of thing, but how you feel even, right? The quality of your days, right? Yeah. And this goes back to one of our first questions is, what am I feeling right now? Taking that time, that stillness, what am I feeling? And I am somebody who I've gone through, years of complete lactose intolerant and then gluten intolerance. They were related to stress. And then now I'm gluten and dairy conscious. And that does not mean like I'm just aware that I'm eating like this tub of ice cream right now. It's I do my best to scale down the foods that don't make me feel good, because again, we are responsible, that accountability for how we feel. It is not up to other people. And I would notice, okay, I'm feeling really badly, or I can't, I'm lethargic after I eat a bunch of these, gluten-filled, whatever it is, or a bunch of dairy. And I don't have the motivation to go to the gym now, or I'm not going to do, my performance at whatever class or run, would be compromised. And again, we can then, that demotivates us to continue, because we aren't getting that boost of, oh, I see progress. And so then we get demotivated, and we can see how that, affects the other pillars that we've talked about, down to, if you're eating a lot of things that are spiking your cortisol, that stress hormone, you're not going to be able to sleep, you're not going to.
And that sugar spike too, it is addicting. And this is why it's really hard, because a lot of these foods that we eat really do have addictive things that make, it's like social media. They want you on it more. They want you to eat these foods more. And you have to really have an honest conversation with yourself of, how much do I value my quality of life? Is quality of life a value for me? Going back to that. And am I in alignment? And this does not mean that you can never have ice cream ever again, right? It means making daily conscious changes, right? And being mindful. I think that's a very good first step for people, because, we could give people a 12-week nutrition plan, or, and again, once your membership is up, I'm sure you'll have a lot of tools for people to access, but it's just being mindful, right? Am I eating this because I'm hungry? Is a really great place to start. Or am I bored? Am I just craving something? Do I want more because it tastes good? Yes, the answer is always yes. But am I hungry? I think is a really great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a good place to start. There's so much to say on this. I think the first thing is, again, like everything starts with creating awareness and understanding. So, if you educate people on actually what it means when they eat certain foods and what that does, and they actually have the understanding, then firstly, you've got that awareness of what's going on in the body. The second thing is then changing the relationship you have to the food. And that is the bit you were talking about, like, well, why am I wanting to eat this? And where's that coming from? Okay, so there's a whole tangent to go off on there. And again, that can be, it could be a coping mechanism. It could be comfort eating. We all have our vices, don't we, when things get stressful, and for a lot of people, including myself, it falls to food. And I always think, if I'm craving something really like sugary and sweet, okay, so where is that coming from? And that's the question I ask myself now. And I'm not saying it's never okay to eat bad food, because that's a really important point to make here. It's just about giving your body the bandwidth to deal with the bad food occasionally. Because if you're constantly eating bad food and your body is dysregulated, your hormones are all over the place, you're inflamed, you're putting on weight, all of that, your body doesn't have the bandwidth to repair and heal itself. Also comes into the rest. Again, we repair well when we rest. It's all interlinked. This is why I'm creating it. Now, the other thing I was going to say is, so it's the relationship that you have with the food. And then also, again, checking in with yourself. So you mentioned about getting tired after eating the bag of Cheetos or whatever you said there. So you are going to have, if anything is not serving your body, you are going to actually have a physical reaction, a biological reaction, a physiological reaction when you eat that food. So if something is not like serving your body, you are going to have maybe a headache, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, anxiety. You're going to feel more stressed. You're going to get more snappy. There's a whole host of things. So, oftentimes a lot of these things can be traced back to what we're eating. And sometimes as well, it's a food intolerance as well. So it's not just as simple as, yes, you might be eating a processed food. And that's usually, once you eliminate processed foods and you minimize the amount of sugar and alcohol and things like that, the change is huge. And actually it solves like 90% of a lot of mental health issues as well. I'd be so bold to say, because it is such a huge connection. Everything affects the other. So that's really important to listen to your body, because if you have a reaction between 20 minutes and 4 hours after you've eaten, and that could just be something like a headache or even brain fog, then that's indicating that that food isn't serving you and it's causing a dysregulation somewhere in your body, because food is actually fuel. It can be viewed as medicine if you want it to be. and it can heal the body. This is why they say to eat the rainbow and to really diversify your gut microbiome by eating lots of different colored vegetables, for example.
Not Skittles, not a bag of Skittles.
Bag of Skittles, yeah. Don't eat that rainbow. You'll be going down.
I can tell someone's like, oh, this is my nope. We are cutting this out. You are not gonna, no, don't do that. Yeah, eating lots of colorful foods. And I think even like these small tips like that are so helpful, because again, this is very overwhelming, and this is where I would encourage people to reach out to you directly and work and have a conversation, because again, everybody is different, but it's those small changes. And this is where I think the book Atomic Habits would be really good, because you habit stack. If I'm having my cup of coffee in the morning and I have a goal of drinking water, then I know every time I have my coffee, I have a glass of water. And actually, one thing I do is I've heard this years ago, like, you wake up like a wilted flower, right? Our bodies are made of so much water. You're a wilted flower and you have to water yourself in the morning. So the first thing that you do is you have a big glass of water, and then you wait until you kind of regulate your cortisol, and you wait 30 minutes until you have your coffee, right? But again, I think a lot of people just boom, 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 go through your day, right? Going from rest and renewal. If I'm not getting this, then all these other things, if I haven't done all these other principles, then I'm not going to value my nutrition and my hydration. And I think a lot of people start, I'm so glad we went in this order.
Yeah,
people
me too.
Start here. Is this the last one, or do we have one more?
I think that's the last. Oh no, there is actually one more, but we've sort of touched on it.
Okay.
Which is stillness and space, but yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's full circle. So most people start with the nutrition and hydration just because it's probably in our face the most. And it's also something that we can see physically and we can feel physically. So people are like, oh, I'm going to get in the gym and eat right. And then it doesn't go well for a week. And then you just go right back to where you started. But you can see how start with all these other pillars first and then get to this one, because you have to understand yourself. And I think, and this feeds right into this last one, it sounds, is being present, right? In your eating and your drinking. Because I've studied this, and I've done a couple of Enneagram studies with eating, and where your personality type plays into your eating habits. And it's very fascinating. I've done it on a small scale just with my clients. But giving yourself small rules, like don't eat while you're standing up, Enneagram 3s, right? A lot of Enneagram 3s will also closet eat because they are very image conscious. So they'll eat in the background, but in front of other people, they will never let anybody else see them eat. This is just an example with 3s. And it's like, if I'm aware of that, again, that consciousness, then I can get ahead of it, right? Enneagram 7s, which is what I am, tend to overeat because we love joy. We love the great deliciousness of life. If one Oreo brings me this much joy, then 2 will bring me even more, right? More joy. And it's like, I'm not, and you can use this example, whether you're eating a sleeve of Oreos or you're having a conversation with somebody and scrolling on your phone at the same time, or scrolling on your phone and you're not paying attention to your partner in bed or watching TV. I'm not enjoying the time that I have. I'm not being present. I'm not actually enjoying being mindful about this Oreo that I'm eating, because my mind is here, 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 here. I'm having a conversation with somebody, but I'm not listening because I'm thinking about all these things that I didn't do, all these things that I have to do, and my tummy hurts or whatever. So I'm not actually enjoying my deliciousness, whether it's a conversation or a food source. And so because I did not get that connection with the person or the food, the joy of the experience, because I'm thinking about other things, I have had the experience. I did not get the joy from it. So now I want more.
Yeah.
Oh man, I need to connect with people because I didn't connect with my partner because I wasn't paying attention while they were talking. Let me look on social media. I didn't actually enjoy this Oreo, so let me have 3 more. Right? It's all about that. You said space, and what was the last pillar?
Stillness and space.
Stillness and space. So talk to us about that, because we have a massive problem with being present.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to pick up on what you were saying there, yes, it's about being present with each thing that you do. And yeah, the nutrition piece is so large that we could be here. We could do a whole podcast on that. But yeah, if people want more information, just message me and I can help you on that. That's absolutely fine. Yeah, so stillness practice. So we did or stillness and space. If you say practice, it sounds a bit daunting, doesn't it? Really, this is just about slowing down. So we did speak about it earlier. So creating space in your day to actually just be with yourself, and to slow down and to start being and not doing all the time. Intentional pauses throughout the day, disconnecting from your devices, from noises, from stimulation. And also I say space as well, because your environment is also massively important. So like your home and your work are probably two of the places where you spend the most time in your life. So, think about even the things like the aesthetics and the feng shui of it all and all that, that can have like an actual effect on you as well. The decluttering, for example, can be quite helpful. Uplifting aesthetics. For example, when I work in the hospital, I'm in a CT scanner doing the pre-treatment planning part. I don't see daylight all day. I have to go outside on my very short breaks in order to actually see the daylight. It's incredibly bad for you, because you're not going to be resetting your circadian rhythms if you don't see daylight. You need vitamin D. We're not meant to be nocturnal animals in the dark, not meant to be subterranean. So it's a lot. And it can also be the people in your environment as well, massively impacting you, and feeding you with their energy as well. And if you're an empath like me, I just did an episode on empaths. If you want to listen to that, it's very interesting.
Yes, I want to listen to that.
Yeah, with Colby, amazing actually. I learned a lot. And you're a highly sensitive person, you actually can feel everything around you as well, because like we said, everything's energy, whether you're spiritual or not. At the end of the day, everything's energy and it's all connected, right? That's just science. So, even like having physical space in between me and like the sofa over there, or and the people and the energy that's presented can be massively impactful. So, it is really, really important. And I do think it's very difficult for people with the environment, with the working environment, depending on what it is. Sometimes it's that you're in isolation and there aren't enough of the right energies around and the right people. I say the right people, the people that are your people. Or sometimes, there's too much of the wrong kind around you. And it can be quite disruptive and also stressful as well. So it's like, if you can't escape that environment, how can you change your mindset and perception on the inside to bring you back into calmness and clarity and balance? That's the hard part.
Yes. Wow. And I'll go back to the simplicity of it all, where it's just 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, work up to it. Again, start with the end in mind, right? Atomic Habits is start small, go outside for a minute. 10 minutes, I think of the sun is what we need, or something like that. I heard it on the podcast once, but it's like, have you gone outside today? And I love what you said. We're not nocturnal. A lot of people work in windowless areas and they don't even see the sun or get to feel the sun or experience the sun. When was the last time you touched grass?
Yeah.
Grounding it's silly in theory, but it's so beneficial. Touch grass with your feet, your hands. When was the last time you were what does nature even look like for you in your life? Right. Not even just with nature, it's with other people too. When was the last time you actually touched another human being? Right. Have you given anybody a hug today?
Did you touch anybody's hand today? Did you get that connection with somebody? Was there a missed opportunity for that? Can you be vulnerable enough to ask, right? Obviously in appropriate settings, right? But I feel like I do have to say that you can't just go randomly going up to all your coworkers and just giving them an unsolicited hug, right? We have to do this with, again, accountability and responsibility. But, you know, hug a friend, hug your partner, cross that line of vulnerability and ask for what you need and get that connection and being present. Because here's the thing, people have a problem being present in their lives because they don't want to be. They don't like their lives. I don't want to be present if I'm feeling awkward at the gym. I don't want to be present in my unhappy relationship. I don't want to be present in this job where I'm counting on the time until 5 p.m., you know? And so I think if I can just escape it, it'll make it better. And it doesn't. It just, you cannot avoid the inevitable, right? At some point in time, something in your life, one of these pillars is going to come crashing down, right? You don't pick health as a pillar. Well, your health will tell you when it's going to need to be a priority, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Same thing with your relationships or any of these aspects of life. It will make the choice for you, and you might not like it, and you might be more limited in your options, and life will be harder for you. So it's these 6 principles, these pillars are designed. I know it sounds like it's a lot of work, but they are designed to make your life easier.
Yeah. I think it's like, it's not that life is even necessarily easier, but it's just creating that sense of ease to it, because there's always going to be challenges. The waves are always going to, you know, keep rolling. It's going to go up and down, but it's about creating that resilience. And that can be done through these lifestyle changes. And when you become, you know, more resilient, then you can handle life with ease, because, you know, things aren't going to affect you as much. And they are all so interlinked, because if you're physically strong, mentally strong, you're healthy in your body, if everything's working and functioning well, and you're at this optimal level of well-being, and, you know, I only call this foundational well-being, but you can go beyond that. You can move beyond that. There's so much other, you know, levels you can go to if you want to. You know, that's a journey I'm on, you know, expanding, you know, in the spiritual sense, for example. There's so many things to go off on there, and breath work, and, you know, all of this, right? But if you can do that, you are going to create much more ease in your life. And that's really all I'm trying to give people. Because the thing is, you know, if you've never experienced something, how the hell do you know that you actually could benefit from it, or even what that's like? And a lot of the problem is we've been so heavily conditioned into these stressful, high functioning lives that we think it's the norm. We think stress is the natural state of play, and it's not. We're actually not designed for that level of stress. You know, we're still very primal, and actually it's the simplicity that really creates more health and more freedom. And I always take it back. You know, you look at the blue zones in the world.
And yes, there's one in Costa Rica,
Guanacaste, where I was living, funnily enough. You know, and I was just drawn there, but that's, again, a whole other story. But it's a blue zone. How do they live their life? Simply, understimulated. They have nature. They have a good, strong community. They're always talking. I got about 20 hugs a day of people there, because everybody's just, you know, so open and connected. And it's just very, very different to what we get over here. And, you know, and I come back here and it's completely different. But, you know, you've also got a lot of nature. And something I really want to share, like one of the most profound things that I've learned, and I think helps the most, is if you want to really simplify it all, it's like this. The further away from nature you are, the further away from good health and well-being you will be. The closer to nature you are and how things are naturally, the stronger your health and well-being will be. because we are a part of nature, and it's really quite as simple as that. And I really encourage you to look at the work Zach Bush has done and the actual biochemical reaction that happens just when you sit on the grass or under a tree, how it actually changes your biology in your gut microbiome. It repairs and heals just from being close to the tree. Mind-blowing, right?
Yes, I will tag that in the resources because I'm interested in that as well. And if you don't, if you're not somebody who you're like, okay, I've been following along, but you're losing me at the grass is healing my, upset tummy. Subscribe to what you want, subscribe to what you don't. Do the research, read the book before bed instead of scrolling on social media. We just give you a book recommendation. Perfect. But also this, the closer you are to nature in that truest form, the further away you are from distractions. And this is one thing I loved about traveling. And I feel like we probably had the same experience with this is, all these things that are just so ever present and top of mind in your daily life. It's like, oh, I got to worry about this, all these things that feel so big. I mean, even traffic, right? Not the road rage of like, oh my God, this person cut me off and all these things. And like, you want to talk about emotional dysregulation. All these things are very real and present until you remove yourself from them. Yeah. And then it's so funny because when you take yourself out of that, you start to see, wow, this matters. This doesn't. This once bothered me. Now it doesn't. This is important. And then you start to see how other people live, Bali is a really special place to me because, USA is very consumer based and it's just, you have to get so much. And these people live with nothing and they're so happy.
Yes.
And it's so mind-boggling, when you go to some of these places like the Blue Zone, and if you're not familiar with Blue Zones, they live longer and they're happier. And so Netflix had done I think it was like 6 or 7 episodes of interviewing these people like, hey, how are you living so long? How are you so healthy? And how are you so happy? Share your secrets with the world. So go watch that show. And it's like they're telling us their secrets. And again, you have the personal accountability to take the secret, use it, apply it, or not, and say, no, I'm good with my social media. I don't want to make a change. And that, if that's, if you don't want to do something, you're not going to, right? If Absolutely. You think you can't do something, that's where a coach comes in and tells you that you can, right? But if there's a difference between won't do and can't do, I can't do that. Well, I can help you if I see how you can, but if yours, I'm not doing that, then don't, right? This podcast is not for you. But we're telling you how life can be so delicious and so simple. And start small, do one of these things. Which one spoke to you, right? And then make one tiny little change. And here's, with the intention of living with ease. Who doesn't want that? Everybody wants that. Yes, it sounds like this is a lot to do and it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a long-term changes, but is it worth it? I think it's a really great question. Is it worth it?
I mean, yeah. And it was certainly worth it to me. And like you say, Meg, it is optional. Like I'm not like trying to preach and say you should be doing this. I'm just telling you, I'm sharing what I have learned to be true for me and many of the people that I've helped. And, I've had all these amazing lessons and puzzle pieces that I've put together. And this wasn't an overnight change for me. All these things I've put together has been over my lifetime, I've come from someone, and maybe I should have said this at the start, but I had chronic anxiety, depression, self-hatred, self-loathing most of my life until probably the age of 35. Huge people pleaser, massively afraid of judgment, overweight, hated my body, hated my life, hated everything. It was very pessimistic. And you'd think, really, Kat? Oh, and really, really shy as well. No one believes that now. And they can't stop me talking. But I was so quiet, I wouldn't talk to anyone at school. So I've gone my whole life learning about how to how to get out of being that way, because, you know, I reached the point where I was so unhappy. I was so fed up. You know, for me, it was like, I was just fed up, and I'm like, yeah, I got to do something different. And so I just started trying things. So all these things that I've put together, and as we spoke about earlier, I don't believe in taking shortcuts. You have to go on your own journey. It's really important, and integrate as you go, because what you need also may be different. And maybe you're listening to some of this and you think, well, actually, I've got that down. Like I said at the beginning, yeah, I understand that one. But it does take time. So it's about being patient with yourself. It's not a race. You know, well-being is like an ongoing journey. You don't like suddenly reach the top of the well-being mountain. It doesn't work like that. It's just about cultivating these gradual changes, focusing in slightly different areas until you start to reach a level where you feel good. And, you know, it might take a little while, it might not. You know, there might be one particular thing, and for many people, it is their nutrition. As soon as you change that, as soon as you actually start, you know, eating food that serves your body, that's the game changer for, you know, like I say, 90% of people. It really makes a difference, because actually, you know, you talked earlier about how that's the last thing to do, but I would actually argue that it's like a catch-22. One thing affects the other, because, you know, if you're eating really well, then you're going to have better mental health, for example. You're going to have a healthier body. You're going to have the space to create that stillness. So actually, it can be that you do those things first, but again, it's like, again, the order that you do them is what calls to you first. You know, what do you feel that you need most right now, or which one feels easiest to you? You know, it's totally your journey, it's your pace. And when I do complete this membership and the Wellbeing Compass, you know, it's just an invitation to evolve and to have a growth mindset rather than a fixed mindset. So it's just a journey for you to go on at your pace. And I really want to emphasize that there's no should, there's no need, you know, take the pressure off yourself, please.
Right.
And, you know, do the joyful things.
Right. And allow yourself to have joy. Give yourself permission to have joy through this and enjoy it. Where again, people look for happiness and they never find it because they look for it in the future. I'll be happy when I, you know, eliminate dairy from my diet. I'll be happy when I lose 20 pounds. I'll be happy when, you know, me and my partner have a better relationship, or all these things. And we put these big things, again, it's just our ego trickiness, because you don't do anything in the future. You can only do things now. And then now is a new now. And then now is a new now, right? We always have these opportunities to be in the now. And it's just making small, tiny choices now, and just focusing on that present moment, that space, this time and space. What are you going to do right now? Right. For instance, I'm having this, I have a habit that I'm been attempting to break. And it's very easy for us to be like, I'm never going to do this again. Today is the day I'm breaking this habit. I'm never going to do it again. Right. And then you do it and you're like, oh man, well, there goes that, you know, my whole plan went to shit. You make small goals. I'm not going to do this morning. Right. Or I am, if you're trying to have a positive new habit, I'm going to do this morning. Right. I'm going to not go on social media tonight. Like right now, I'm not going to be on it. I'm not going to worry about tomorrow. I'm not going to worry about the next day. I'm going to go on a walk for 10 minutes now. I don't care about tomorrow, right? Just focus on the now. And that just allows a lot of those overwhelming feelings to kind of dissipate, because you're not thinking about, oh my God, I have to do this on Friday and then the next week and this, that, whatever. It's like, no, that's just kind of monkey mind filler talk. It's like, what am I going to do now? Period. That's it. That's how you make small, tiny changes. And again, nothing changes if nothing changes, you know. Again, like I hate to say this so brashly, but if you don't make a change in your life, like nobody really cares. right? Their life is going to move on, right? I'm not telling you to make a change in your life if you're listening to this podcast because I am personally affected by it. I'm not going to sleep better when you make a personal change, you know? I don't benefit from that at all.
Yeah.
So we are sitting here and telling you, speaking with you, not to you, about these are the things that helped us. We've both been called to serve in this realm of doing the work and sharing with others what has worked. And you can see from, different teachers all over the world and in different times of these foundational things that just work, right? These are not these quick fixes and do this, do that, buy this, buy that. It's no, it's coming back to yourself. And we are here just to share, right? We do not benefit from you sleeping 8 hours at night. I might never know that about you, but this is what works. This is what can work. This is what your life can look like. Try this. It might look a little different for you. Because to your point of, what you said at the very beginning, everybody is an individual. Everyone's different. And so see what works for you. It's like, are you brave enough to try something? Are you open-minded enough just to see what touching the grass with your feet does,
Absolutely. At the end of the day, you could ask yourself, what's the cost of doing this? What's the cost of not doing this? And also, what have you actually got to lose by trying something different? And if you're not feeling in a good mental place, or you're not feeling happy inside, or you're struggling with confidence or whatever it is, and this might just be something for you. And I think there's also this kind of resistance to ask for help. Like, people think they got to do it alone. But I always like to remind people, we're here together. If we were meant to be on our own, other people just wouldn't exist. We are tribal beings. We are meant to support one another. And this whole thing was born out of, the fact that I know how isolating it can be, and how you don't have to be a prisoner in your own body. There is support for you. There is help for you. And I think it's really important, this is my lived experience as well. This is, as I say, it's worked for me, and I've gifted this to other people, and it's helped them. And, that's I guess, my legacy, if you like, my kind of gift to the world. And perhaps it sounds simple to you, but this is, it was really life-changing for me. And so, if you're listening and you do want that extra support, do reach out, because we all need somebody to take us under the wing, or to hold our hand, and Meg, this obviously through your clients as well. Sometimes we need the support. I need the support, Jesus, I had like a meltdown last Thursday, genuinely. And I needed the support. Like, it happens. We all need it. We're all human, and there's no shame in that. But just know that you don't have to do it alone. And if you need guidance and need to break it down, this could really be very fruitful for you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm excited for your program to come out, your membership, and I will definitely be I'll add that to the show notes whenever it comes out, and share it on social media, because it's such a tool, right? You think about all these things that we use coaches for, right? Even going back to childhood sports, like I learned how to swing a baseball bat with a coach, right? I could have figured it out on my own, right? But it was going to take me longer, right? And that's longer I'm sitting in life without ease. And I think that the last message that I would like to leave with anyone listening, first of all, thank you for making it to the end of this podcast. Hopefully we have entertained you all week long. But it is this. It's when it comes to motivation, why you do things, why you don't. Again, your brain will take the path of least resistance. It's always going to go the easy route, right? And familiarity happens to be the easier route, or so we think. And so we think, like having a conversation with my partner and trying to change our nighttime routine, that's going to be hard. Or going to the gym and being looked at and having no idea what I'm going to do, or walking on the treadmill for 10 minutes, that's going to be hard. And we choose to not, we choose to do the opposite. I'm not going to change my bedtime routine. I'm not going to go to the gym, because we think that that is the easier choice. We think that I'm going to do it or not. We think that or not is the easier choice. And I'm telling you, it's not. It's hard to be unhealthy, right? Your body will show you that at some point in time. It's hard to be overweight. It's hard to be a monkey mind all the time and not present. It's hard to be in an uncomfortable relationship with your partner. Those things are hard. The or not, you're going to do it or not. The or not is not the easier choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's gonna energetically drain you. And I think that's also another sort of value, I guess, principle that I utilize is this thing giving me energy or taking it away? Because if something is draining you, that's a clear sign that it's not for you. Very clear. Even if you don't want it to be, even if you think it makes logical sense, if you are having that physiological reaction and it's draining you, it's not for you. And it's time to let it go. And that can be really hard, especially with relationships.
Oh, yeah. Well, that sounds like a whole other podcast that we will definitely have to.
The energetics.
Yes, everything is energy. But yeah, I would love to have another podcast on that. But well, thank you so much for all of your knowledge. Just to recap the 6 pillars, could you just run through the 6 names of them just one more time? And if you're listening, I would encourage you in this moment, pick one that you are going to focus on today, right now, and assign the smallest thing that you can do, right? The small thing that you can do with one of these 6 pillars that Kat's going to share with us.
Okay, so this is my 6 pillars of foundational well-being called the Wellbeing Compass. So we've got rest and renewal. We've got nourishment and hydration. We've got joyful movement, mindset and connection, stillness and space, and inner alignment practices.
Love that. Yes. So pick one. For me, I'm going to pick our first one, that rest and renewal. And I'm committing to just today, not forever, just today, I'm going to be asleep before 11 p.m. so that second wind does not kick back up. So that is what I'm committing to today. So
amazing.
Yes.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Well, thank you. And then here's the thing is that when you get that quick win, that small win, it feels good. And then you take the time and you celebrate it and you acknowledge it. Wow, I slept really good last night. I was asleep by 11, and you acknowledge the work that you've done. And then that gives you some incentive to do it again, so.
Exactly. Celebrate yourself every opportunity, those micro wins.
Yes. Oh, that's in Atomic Habits, is the micro wins. So
yeah.
We've given you some resources. We'll tag them all in the show notes. And then, of course, you can follow Kat on social media. I'll tag her handle on there too. And you can stay in the loop and see when her program does come out, because I know I will be joining that, because there's just so many facets of life, and they really all do deserve attention, right? Because again, are you adding to your life or taking away? I want to add to my life. So thank you, Kat, for sharing your knowledge with us. It's just, and you can tell it goes so beyond, what now, a 2-hour podcast. So thank you for your time. It really does.
This is why I had to create the membership. And, I haven't even done it yet because I haven't actually had the physical time. I need time to do it. But I really hope that it adds to everyone's life who's listening, and yeah, I really hope it brings so much value. So that's my prayer for everybody.
You can already tell that it does. And your desire is actually in response to desires from other people who are wanting this kind of thing, and having it be accessible and affordable, because that's huge. And so thank you for giving back. That's just, it's admirable. So we want to celebrate you and wish you the best of luck on that journey and that step. So with that, we will leave you. Again, thank you for listening to this podcast. It was just, so incredible. We couldn't stop. So on that note, I will leave you. And I'm going to speak for Kat too, because I know she subscribes to this message as well, but we'll leave you the same way I always leave you on this podcast. And that is expect good things always, and they will happen.
Thanks for having me. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you listened until the end, then thank you for staying this long. I really hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to sign up to the waitlist, which is completely free to sign up. Even if you don't decide to go ahead with it, you will get a discounted membership if you join the waitlist now. So you've got nothing to lose. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on next week's episode.